Hey guys, how you doing? This is Travae Willis, your one and only, your inspirational non-emergency medical transportation guy. Basically, your transportation guy. Period. Because you guys know I deal with so much in transportation. I deal with buses and limos and medical vans and things to that nature. I'm just happy to be before you all. As I stated on the last video, this year is going to be a year for new content. This is going to be the new year for, to go to newer levels and things to that nature. Guys, let me say this right here. There was something that came to my mind to really speak on, because what I did was I did a list back in 2023, probably halfway in the middle of the month of November, and I basically wrote down all the things that I was going to speak to you guys upon for is 2024. And one of the things that was laid on my heart to really speak to you guys is the non-emergency medical transportation industry hard? Is running a medical transportation company, is it hard? Is it difficult? And a lot of people, some people may have a different mindset. They may come into this industry thinking, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk. Some people think it's going to be extremely difficult. But guys, really, it's like anything else. When you have to put there, sometimes whatever it's like this, all right? And I'm very transparent. It's like harvesting and laying seeds. You got to keep watering it. You got to put fertilizer. You got to be able to, it's like being a farmer. You have to cultivate your crop. You have to, water it and make sure that the crop harvests and produces okay. With owning the non-emergency medical transportation industry, it's very challenging. Why I say it's very challenging is because every day is not the same. Now, let me rewind back to 2015 when we first got started in the industry. As I mentioned in several videos, we started with one vehicle. I was the first driver. Then, we had, transitioned to other drivers after I started driving for a few months. But the thing about it is, guys, it's not as bad when you have one or two vehicles, but I have superseded my goal years ago. My plan was to only have one vehicle, one van. That was going to be me as a driver. Hey, make my money, we're good. Pay my bills, fine. But when you are in this industry, you're going to be pulled on so much. You're going to be pulled on by multiple people. You're going to be pulled on by multiple places. Private pay people is going to call. Nursing homes is going to call. Can you do this? Can you do that? So a lot of times, what your goal was set upon to do, actually you supersede it, because once you start transporting and you start to have 3 or 4 trips in a day, then you're getting pulled on to do other trips. So then that's when you're like, hey, I need to get another van. When you get another van, that's when the same chain reaction happens as the first van. You start getting busy with that van, and then you start getting busy with the third van. So then you're starting to see yourself add upon. I never imagined that I was going to actually grow. Well, excuse me, let me rephrase that. I didn't know we were going to grow this business all the way up to 14, 15 vans at the time. The thing about it is, it's okay, it's manageable whenever you are at 2 or 1. But when you start to get past those multiple vans, it starts getting very challenging. Why I say challenging? Because when you start to add on multiple vehicles, it gets very challenging due to the fact every van is different. You're going to start having issues with this van. I don't care how new the van you have. I don't care how old the van you have. You are going to have challenges, because when you have to look at it like this. Whenever you put a van on the road and that van goes out for 14, 15 hours a day, sometimes 15 hours a day, you're going to run through tires. You're going to run through brakes. You're going to run through rotors. You're going to have, when you run the bigger vans, the high top vans, the cube vans, the turtle top vans, you're going to if it's in the dead heat of the summer, you're going to run that van constantly. And then that's going to put a lot of wear and tear on the AC compressors. And then the AC compressors are going to go. I don't care if it's 2019, 2022, you're going to put added stress on those vehicles. So that's a challenge. And then you got to understand one thing too. Whenever those vehicles are out of service, you have got to substitute what you thought that van was going to be on for that day. You got to basically either double up or you got to rent a van. Not only that, you got to also remember the more vehicles you have, the more fuel you're going to pay out. That's one issue. Now let's talk about drivers. Drivers, I don't care, what driver you have. They could be the best driver. Mr. Johnny could be the best driver, but Mr. Johnny has doctor's appointments. Mr. Johnny gets sick. Susie wakes up in the morning and her kid is running a high temp, or they have to go vote, or they have to go, to jury duty. These are things that is real life and it happens. So whenever you have those issues or those things that come apart with your drivers, they're going to be out. So then you have, say, 4 or 5 trips lined up per driver. Then now you have to either have a backup driver, or you're going to have to be the guy that's going to be in the office or be floating around, so that whenever there's a driver out, you can pick up and fill in for, whoever is out. We've had drivers that have had to have their own colonoscopies, so we actually had to step in and fulfill what the driver was supposed to do. Now, the driver could look perfectly fine on day one, but things could change overnight. Driver could wake up in the morning and all of a sudden he's throwing up. So now you're forced with something that happens at the spare of the moment. They can call at 7 o'clock. Their route starts at 8. Oh, hey Trey, hey Keisha, I'm not gonna be able to come in this morning because I'm throwing up and I stayed up all late last night. Now what do you do? These are one of the things that's very challenging. So you have to have a game plan in place so that when they do call, that you are prepared for what's going to happen. A lot of times, me personally, I try not to really take a lot of trips out of town whenever that my drivers are, in place. A lot of times when I have drivers on the road, I'm already on high alert. I'm on high defense because I'm not sure if the driver's going to get sick or if the van's going to actually have a blowout. Or another thing too, you have to realize is when dealing with, client schedules, you can take Mr. Johnny to their doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock, and guess what? You're anticipating that their appointment is going to last an hour, hour and a half. But guess what? Mr. Johnny gets to Duke Regional or Duke Medical Hospital or UNC, and guess what? They're going to send Mr. Johnny across the street for labs. So now that adds another hour onto your schedule. Or Mr. Johnny's got to go to get an MRI. So now that throws your whole schedule off, because really we have planned your schedule for the whole day. So, my driver has a trip picking up at 9, thinking he's going to be done at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now his next trip is at 1 o'clock, but he's still with Mr. Johnny from 9 o'clock. So now you got to try to either you do it yourself as the owner, or you're going to have to take another person off a trip and then take that driver that's running behind and put him on the next trip. So basically it's like piggybacking. Drop one off, somebody picks up the other. Now, a lot of times with these nursing homes, let's talk about nursing homes. Nursing homes tends to like to pile a lot of transports on a person in one day. So you got Sunnydale Nursing and Rehab over here in Clarksdale. Okay, so let's just think about it. You're probably used to them doing 3 transports a day, 4 transports a day, but then all of a sudden they send you your schedule for next week, and on Tuesday you got 9 transports, and then you're not even thinking about all the other facilities that you have. So now you've got to structure your drivers to pick up those people at that facility and also manage your other facilities at the same time. So that's what you're faced with. This is what the industry is about. It's all about, we have a lot of challenges and things to that nature. Now, let me explain something else to you about another hard point with this industry. And it's not to deter you, it's not to discourage you, it's just to get you prepared to know that when you start, hey, I got 2 vans on the road versus you having 13. Sometimes having a lot of vans is not that, glamorous compared to having 2 or 3. But another factor you have to realize is when you are dealing with nursing homes, a lot of these nursing homes want to have you structured on a net 30 or net 45. I'm dealing with 2 nursing homes right now under the same umbrella, the same management company, that they do a net 30, but it seems like it's a net 50 because they can owe you $27,000. And sometimes they'll go over that 30-day mark and they'll pay you a whole lump sum. Or sometimes sometimes they'll pay you 1 week, way before the due date, and miss other invoices that were due before that invoice, which I'm not quite understanding. That's the situation we're dealing with right now, is, getting payment on time. And then sometimes they'll pay you way ahead of schedule, 1 invoice for 1 week. Because what we do, we invoice every week to that facility. That's what we're faced with. Another thing too, we've had challenges with is when you are supposed to be on a net 30, what do you do when you have to pay your drivers every Friday or every other week? A lot of drivers don't want to be paid like the state. They don't want to be paid every month. So you have to find a very enticing way to keep your drivers happy. And a lot of times drivers want to be paid every week or every 2 weeks. So what do you do when these nursing homes only want to pay you every 45, 50 days? Nursing homes are notorious for not wanting to pay on time. I have literally had to fight tooth and nail to be able to get paid at a decent time to pay drivers. So what we had to do is the places that pay very quick, we've had to take money from them and pay our drivers and just have to really compensate and pay bills out of, the other big hats and stuff that we got going on. When those nursing homes do pay, cut money out, we have to pay our bills then. Another situation too is your fuel bills. Your fuel bills come, they hit you hard, $5, $6, $7, $9, $10,000. So now you happen to take money to pay that, but you have to pay your drivers first because you pay your fuel bill first and don't pay your drivers, you don't have no drivers. So these are the challenges that we are faced with in the industry. But I have learned this. There's, it has gotten to the point in, months and years that we have been forced to almost, not saying we did, but almost factor our invoices. So what you do when you factor your invoices, you go through a finance company, say like, a major Fortune 500 company, and you sell your invoices to them. What they do is you send them your invoices and you CC the management company from the nursing home. And what they'll do is they'll give you like 80% of your money up front so that you can pay your bills and pay your drivers. So, and then what they'll do is every week that invoice is out from that management company that handles the nursing homes, they charge you 1% of every week that invoice is out. Once that invoice gets the checks is cut to the management company, they then take out the 1% every week out the rest of the 20%, the 20% that they owe you. Because remember, they're giving you 80% up front, and then they're keeping 20%. So then every week that the invoice is out and not being paid, they take out 1% of it, and they give you the remainder back. So that's called factoring invoices. And sometimes it's good. It depends on the structure of your business. We almost had to do it in years because we've gotten so large that cash flow sometimes is slow. So that's what we have been faced with. The only downside to factoring invoices is the fact that you have to do they're automatically going to try to do a UCC filing on your business. That means collateral, and things to that nature. That's the only thing I don't like. But you know, they once you invoice them and you send an invoice to them, they'll cut you a check within 24 to 48 hours. I mean, so it's like you weigh your pros and cons of what really works for you, because sometimes these nursing homes is very difficult to get payment from. And whenever you do call them saying, hey, where's invoice number this, that, and the third, they look at you like you're wrong because you're calling for your money, and which is not right. There has been times where I have had to literally threaten to cut dialysis off because we were not getting paid by these nursing homes. And some nursing homes, they are notorious for not wanting to pay you. And that's hard. It's hard, hard, hard. Believe it or not, nursing homes and businesses have credit ratings just like we do. And you have to, and a lot of times whenever you try to do a factor invoices, these invoice factoring companies will check the credit of these nursing homes or these businesses you're trying to get money from. And if their credit rating is not good, they won't even do invoice factoring for them. So these are things you have to keep in mind. The industry is challenging. It's very challenging, but it's worth it. It's all about what you put into it. If you want to grow it to 30 to 40 vans, hey, it's going to be very challenging because you have more stress added onto your plate. But if you are trying to stay down to the 1 or 2 man thing, it's not as bad. So it's all depends on what you're trying to do and what you want to do with the industry. Your dream, your calling, hey, go forward, and things to that nature. Guys, it's been real. Stay tuned to other videos that we have coming out soon. Like I said, thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for reaching out to me. Welcome to 2024, guys. Thank you so much and have a great day.